Hey guys, this is Mr. Hodges. I'm just going to use this video to go through section 4 and kind of cover the rest of the study guide in general because everything is pretty much being covered in depth by the first 2 videos. Section 4 is a lot like some of the questions you'll see on the test where you'll be asked to identify how words are being used within a story. This section is based on Sola in your textbook. However, most of these questions can be answered just by simply looking at the endings of each of these verbs, or the endings of the adjectives, or the endings or forms of the verbs and nouns. I'll show you what I mean. So this first one in line 1, Marcus is a, and I put a nominative singular. This just requires that you have an understanding of how to read the chart. Marcus, US, we've gone over this, is a second declension noun, and in the second declension, US is a nominative singular ending. So the answer is clearly for number 1A. Similarly, in number 2, titulum, is an accusative ending, and it is an accusative singular ending, so you can easily choose accusative singular. Number 3, as covered in the last video, mihi is the dative form of the word ego, so it means to or for me, and that makes it dative singular. Number 4, stultior. This is kind of a throwback to a couple, I think last chapter, where we learned about the final degree of an adjective that we haven't learned yet. Remember, the word stultus means stupid, and that's just its normal base form. We call that the positive degree. And we also originally learned stultissimus. If you turn stultus into stultissimus, that changes it from stupid to stupidest, or very stupid. That's called the superlative. When a Latin adjective ends in issimus, that means it is superlative. Similarly, when the adjective ends in ior, so when stultus turns into stultior, that means stupider or more stupid. Think about like you're comparing two things. That is what we call the comparative degree. Therefore, this is comparative. These are all review. In line number 5, soli, ae, is a dative singular ending. It could also be nominative plural, but for 2 reasons. 1, if you look at the sentence in line 8, it clearly means they're giving the money to Sola. And additionally, it's someone's name. And so it cannot be nominative plural because they didn't have cloning technology back then. So there were not multiple Solas going on. So the answer is very clearly C. The rest of these, denarius, inscriptionem, afra, fratri, marcum, fratres, sola, velum, all of these can be answered very simply just by matching the ending of the noun to the endings on the charts that will be up on the wall during your test. I'm not going to spend too much time going over the rest of these. If you have a particular question, feel free to ask me. Starting in line 20, or in question 21, though, we start seeing verbs. So we see erat. This is one that always gives us trouble because we know it means was, or we should know it means was, but it's irregular, so we don't know that it's considered the imperfect tense. The answer for 21 is B because erat is imperfect. Okay? Invitavit has a V in it, and that's one of those indicators that it is perfect, that it is C, the perfect tense. Walde. This ends in an E, and it's a word that we know from our vocab is an adverb. Also, if you look at how it's being used in the sentence, I don't have the packet in front of me, but walde means very, or a lot, or very much. And it's usually either describing another adjective or a verb, making it an adverb every time. Just like we talked about above, the degree of lactissimus, you see that issimus ending on the end of it. That makes it superlative. You need to go back and review your notes from last chapter if this is news to you. Number 27, don't even worry about desistite and ite. These are commands. We haven't covered them yet. I don't know why it's on this study guide. And additionally, celeriter. This is also an adverb. It means quickly. All right, moving on to section 5. If this is confusing to you, check out the section 2 video if you haven't already. This is just basically asking you to fill in what part of the sentence is missing. And generally with these, you can tell what part of the sentence is missing just by which word is missing. You see, blank sumus laeti. Well, sumus means are, and this means happy. So we're clearly missing a subject from this, and subjects are always nominative. Amicus blank vocabat. Well, first thing, look at the verb. Vocabat means was calling. And if we have our subject here, and we have our nominative noun, amicus. So we know that we need to know who is being called by the friend, who is receiving that action, calling. Well, if something's receiving the action, that makes it a direct object, and that means it is accusative 99% of the time. 33, ancilla blank aquam dat. Well, we have dot, which means gives. We have ancilla, which is our nominative. That means the subject. So the slave girl gives. What is she giving? Well, we see the am. That's our accusative ending, and that means water. So the slave girl gives water, and we need to figure out where that water's going. Well, and the form that we're seeing is you. Well, we know you is the thing receiving the water. It's receiving the direct object. That makes it dative, meaning to you. So if we want to say that, we want this sentence to be the slave girl gives the water to you. Remember, dative is always translated as to or for X. So the answer is B, tibi. If you need a review of the difference between to, tibi, te, nos, nobis, nos, ego, mihi, me, or wos, wobis, wos, check out the section 2 video. We go over it there. This section is, section 6 is basically an extension of section 2. Once again, if this confuses you, go back and look at the section 2 question, or section 2 video. Then lastly, we have section 7. Select the correct Latin sentences that match the following English sentences. These questions follow the, these questions, first off, just really test your basic test-taking skills. What I would suggest is trying to figure out what the tense of the verb is, looking at the verb and what the person of the verb is, and then starting by identifying the verb in the sentence, and then moving on, and trying to eliminate as many options as possible. So this one, number 46. This one's actually pretty simple. Actually, if you just look at the first word in the sentence and you know your question words, which let us review real quick. Question words from this chapter. There are 10 questions about this on the test. We know 3 question words in particular, and also that, basic English question marks make questions. Question word, the first question indicator are question words like quis, quid, ubi, and cur, which are the Latin equivalent of the English who, what, when, where, and why. If you do not know these, stop this video and write these down and take these notes. These will be on the test. Placed at the beginning of the sentence, these words simply create questions marked with a question mark. Very easy. Just know what each word means and you'll be fine. The next one is ne, which is a suffix, which gets added onto the first word of a statement, and that transforms it into a, I said sentence on here. Let me fix that. I'm too deep to go back and redo this video, so you're just going to have to deal with that. Okay. Ne is the suffix added onto the first word of a statement to transform it into a question. So the example below, we have Caecilius Metellum amat. That means Caecilius loves Metella. But if you just add on ne to Caecilius at the beginning, Caecilius ne Metellum amat, means does Caecilius love Metella? Just turns it into a yes or no question. Lastly, num. This one may be the most confusing, but you just need to remember that if you put num at the beginning of a sentence, it transforms it into a question for which you expect the answer to be no, or a negative answer in general. So say you have the sentence 2s in foro. That means you are in the forum. If you put num in front of that, it turns it into you aren't in the forum, are you? Or surely you're not in the forum. You can hear from like the way that we put those words together that you expect the person that you're asking to be like, no, I'm not in the forum, right? Like I said, a little confusing. Just know those 2 basic forms. You should be okay on the test, and over time it'll get easier with practice. So, looking back at our study guide. Where are you carrying the water, slave girl? Well, these all start with question words. And if you know that ubi means where or when, and remember the way we the way we memorized that way back when was Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? Then you can know immediately that it's B, and you can eliminate all of these. Additionally, this is the only one with with a verb for which the subject could be you. Remember, OST was just. Number 47, the merchant sells a sword to the gladiator. Okay, well, I want to see what verb this is. Sells, that'll be wind it. The subject is merchant, so that's singular. So I'm looking for verbs that end in T. Well, I can immediately eliminate A. Oops. I can immediately eliminate A. I can immediately eliminate C. All right, so that leaves Mercator gladiatori gladium vindit and Mercator gladiatoribus gladios vindit. Okay, well, this one, you can see, then we start moving to the words that are different. Well, we have gladium and gladios. Gladium means sword, and gladios means swords. So, look up here, you see sells a sword. We know for sure the answer. Oops. Don't want to move all my letters. Did anyway. We know for sure that our answer is B. Okay. Number 48. Marcus favors you. Okay. Remember, this is one of those rich verbs, fawet, which we cover in video 1. If you're confused about these, go back and look at video 1. The answer for this is C. Marcus tibi fawet. Because since Marcus favors you, in this sentence, you are the thing being favored, you are the direct object. So, since this is the direct object, which normally would be accusative, you may have chosen A, thinking, oh, that's the accusative form. That'll be the thing receiving the action. Normally, you'd be right, but fawet is a weird verb, and it's a weird verb because its direct object will be in the dative case. Don't worry about why, but you need to go back and watch video 1 and take notes on that if this was confusing for you. Number 49, the very strong slave carries the wine jars. Okay, well, I'm looking for my verb. I see carries. I know that's portat. We know it's the very strong slave doing it, so we're looking for a T ending. We can go ahead and eliminate portabant because it ends in NT. We can so we can eliminate B. We can eliminate portawerunt because that ends in an NT. That means that the subject would be plural. And then we're left between portawit and portat. Well, we see carries. That's present tense. And we know that the V makes this perfect. So we can eliminate C as well. And just based off looking at the verb, we know the answer is A. All right, and then lastly, we have, does it please you all, servants? Well, you're asking a question, and please is the verb placet. That's one of those rich verbs, like in 48 in section 1, that take a dative direct object. So we can immediately eliminate D because wos is accusative. We can eliminate B because, te is accusative. And then now we have to choose between tibi, which is to or for you, and wobis, which is to or for y'all. We know that you all is the second person plural. That's what wobis means. So, placet ne wobis servi. That is how you say, does it please you all, servants. If you have questions about these, message me on It's Learning. I'll be able to answer all day. Sorry I can't be there. I hope you all have a good day.